Okay, round two. Round two. If you're seeing this first, then whatever I'm saying here, you're supposed to see this first. This is crazy to me. I need you all to understand that my understanding of how I would show up in this world for many years was very different. I thought I would show up in a much more packaged way, and I didn't realize I was going to be doing this, whatever this is. I was given an inkling. Oh, funny. By the by, I was so excited yesterday about the video that I did because I felt like I was more my authentic self on camera than I ever have been, that I opened this closet door that's right next to me. It's right here. And I busted the shit out of my knee. Like, I swung, and I was literally lying on the floor crawling, and it was just me. Nobody else was in the room. My dad was in the living room watching TV, but I was like, don't worry him. And I thought about that clip from Adventure Time where there's Jake and Finn are sneaking, and that spider lands on Finn's face, and he slaps it back, and it bites Jake, and he's like suffering silently. That was me. And then this morning I was like, damn, my knee hurts, and I look, and there's like a cut. And it was swollen. So I really did a number on my knee. This is what happens when you move too fast. Word to the wise. Slow the fuck down. Slow all the way down. Shit. Listen. The people that I'm talking to, you are being called. Some of you, it's ancestral. So you have an ancestral line, and this does not just apply to my melanated people. Okay? I'm talking to people of every ethnicity right now. I know I had a video that was very much so speaking about the Black experience that I had, my personal Black experience, I should say, growing up, and I only touched a tip of the iceberg. One of the things that I had thought to say afterwards that I didn't say was, something that really bothered me growing up was people who looked like me making jokes at our people's expense. Didn't like that. I didn't like watermelon jokes. I actually grew to have an aversion of watermelon because of all of those jokes. And as much as I liked fried chicken, I'll be damned if I was going to eat that shit in public because I didn't want people to be judging me. Even though people are going to judge, it's what we do. Our brain literally comes to a conclusion when we see something. I've yet to meet a person who every situation I have met people like this. The only people that I know who don't jump to a conclusion immediately and they're actually curious are kids. They're kids. I think that's why we're all supposed to be getting in touch with our inner children, because our inner children are as close, in my belief, they're as close to source, God, the purest energy that you gonna get. Because they haven't been taught all the toxic shit yet. They haven't been told that they're not perfect. They haven't been told that they're ugly for whatever reason. And the fact that you are being called to action right now doesn't mean that this is the last call you will have. But most likely, those in your ancestral line, your spiritual team, because I am of the belief system that we start at source. We start from nothing. And then we come here and we sign contracts. We say, I want to come here and I want to live this experience. And a lot of people would say, well, shit, why would I want to come back here and be poor and broke and sick? Well, if you've lived a bunch of lives where you've had money, or you've lived a bunch of lives where you knew you were super powerful. None of us, I don't know, maybe some of you do, but I don't like playing video games where I'm just OP all the damn time. That's not fun. Like, I prefer to have a bit of a challenge. Even though I'm cussing and I'm raging and I'm upset when I can't pass a certain level, like when that Yeti in Skyrim, when you're climbing the throat of the world and you're in Skyrim and you're like, yes, I'm gonna go up here and get my dragon shout. And then that one Yeti drops off that cliff to absolutely mollywop your shit. That's one of the most frustrating things in Skyrim that I think I've ever run into. And if you've dealt with that, we should be compensated. We should be compensated for that. 4 minutes and 44 seconds as I said that. I actually don't know if that relates to anything that you've dealt with, but video games, that's why a lot of people play the Dark Souls and the blood, like the Bloodborne, those series. There are a lot of y'all that actually do like challenge. You just don't really like it in your life because you're like, I'm just really tired, and that makes sense. Okay, it makes sense to be tired in your actual day-to-day life. But what doesn't make sense is knowing that you actually do have the ability to move through things and you have the ability to work on your mental processing, and then you choose not to. Like, I've met a lot of people who have access to all of the resources they need to be better people. And not better as in there's some betterness that you should just be, but better for yourself so that you're not stressed all the time. And there's so many people, I'm watching people literally hand them things, tools that they can use, and they just, no thank you. There's this one thing I always think about, and somebody was talking about how it's interesting that there are people who are like, God will do it for me. And when they're saying God will do it for me, they're in the ocean and they're like struggling to drown. They're drowning. A boat comes by and says, hey, let's pull you up, and they're like, no thanks, God's got me. Somebody else comes by in a small dinghy and they've got like a life preserver, and they're like, here, take this. And they, in 6 minutes and 6 seconds as I'm saying this, they say, no, I'm good because God's going to save me. And I used to laugh at that. Excuse me, tiny burp. And now I feel like there are a lot of people, and the people watching this, I'm stepping on both our toes right now. You have expectations of how you expect spirit and your opportunities and your shit that you want, that you've been desiring for years. You are having expectations on how you want that shit wrapped. And because it's not showing up for you in the way you think it should, you're throwing a fit. You're throwing a hissy fit. You're like, well, fuck this. I'm not going to keep working on this if the only thing I'm going to get is a free X, Y, and Z. You got a free anything? In this America? I mean, you might not live in America, but if you don't, there's a lot happening here, my friend. There's a lot happening. And the spiritual awakening is one of them. But you and I have been, bro, I'm still this way. I want my things to show up, and I can brainstorm. I'm a creative, so I can brainstorm about 30 different ways my shit can come to me in the dopest way. And I'm like, this is for me. Let's fucking go. And then it doesn't show up like that. And I'm like, well, this isn't exciting. So that must not be for me. And the amount of times that I'm feeling that you have ignored these calls to action. Now, for those of you who are watching and you haven't, and you actually said, I'm ready to get it going, this is a confirmation. Good job, but also it's gonna be tough. So it looks sexy when you're watching videos and people are like succeeding over time and you're like, they did it. But what they're not showing, what some people aren't showing, because some people actually are showing this now, are the nights where they're crying and they're sick and they're snotting and slobbering everywhere and they're ashy and they're really struggling to keep it together. You're not seeing those moments. You're not seeing the moments where they woke up in the morning and they were like, I'm gonna just have a beer. That's all I'm having today. I used to have days where I didn't eat. I would just have a beer and call it. And there's so many people in my life who, when I have shared that with them, they're like, but you were so happy. I'm like, yeah, a lot of us are masking our happiness. Like we're masking how we actually feel. We're very performative in our relationships. We don't want people to worry about us. We don't want people to feel bad. We care more about how we make other people feel than we care about taking care of our bodies and ourselves. Ooh. Yeah, I've cared a lot about what people thought. Family in particular. I was one of those kids to where if I didn't respect you, I didn't give a fuck what you thought. So when everybody would be talking about people pleasing, I'd be like, not me, because I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Like, I was over here like, I got life figured out. No, the fuck she didn't. No, she did not. Only to realize that it's a respect thing for me. So if I respect you or I love you and you're in my immediate circle, your opinion matters to me. And even now, it shouldn't, but it does. And because my family in particular, like my mom and my dad in particular, I cared about his opinion and I still care about his opinion a lot. I'm trying to wean myself off of this because to live your most authentic life, people are going to be unhappy with what you do. You cannot avoid the rejection. You cannot avoid the criticism. You cannot avoid the people making fun of you. It is what it is. As a person who spent a good chunk of my life on stage because I sang at church, I also, all right, we're taking a break from that. There are some of you who are allowing your opportunities to slip through your fingers. They're opportunities, and because you don't see how it fits with your plan that you have in your mind of what you want to happen, you're allowing certain opportunities to slip by you. You got to stop doing that. Babe, you got to stop doing that. You've got to be grateful for opportunities when they come, even if they don't seem to fit into the plan that you in your head have created, the expectation, that word again, that you've created. When I was probably like right before college, I auditioned for American Idol. And when I auditioned, I heard something back immediately because I sent in a video audition and I sang whatever song I sang. And they sent me an email back. It was a glowing email. And they said, we really want to get you in to the next round. Here's the location. Here's the time we want you to show up. Here's the place. Here's a hotel. Like, here are hotels because you said that you're not from here. They were very helpful. I don't know if they still do that now, but they were very helpful. And you know what I did? As a child whose parents were constantly trying to get her on stage because I could sing. Okay, I can sing a little bit. I'd be like, I can sing, okay? And for years, I'd be like, I sing a little bit. Faux humility ain't cute. It's not cute. If you could do something, you could do it, okay? Even if you're not classically trained, you could do it. If you be dancing in your room and people are like, do you dance? And you're like, I dance for my own comfort. I love to dance. I love to dance. You start. Start accepting the things that you can do and stop beating yourself up about the fact that it's not professional. I don't mean to be aggressive, but I kind of do because I'm feeling right now that you need this. Whoever this is, you need this. Buck back. Get mad. Because the minute you get mad about this situation is the minute you're going to start seeing change. Anger is the first step. But be careful what you do with that anger. But you know what I did with that email? I deleted it. And you know why I deleted that fucking email? I deleted it because I was terrified. I wasn't terrified of losing. I have always been the type of person, and some of you might be like this, some of you might be like, whatever, fuck that. I've always been the type of person to where if I don't make it, if I shoot for the stars and I land back on Earth, busted ass, ashy. I don't know why ashy's always where I go. But I always knew, even as a kid, if I didn't make it, that's fine. Because what happens? Nothing changes. I can maintain what I'm doing. I can keep doing the same shit I'm doing now and nothing will ever change. So I was comfortable in obscurity. I was comfortable not being seen. Because the minute you're seen, there comes the responsibility. And for me, there comes the fear of fucking it up and messing it up in front of everybody. So I deleted that email. I said nope, and there were many other opportunities where I was given the opportunity to be in management positions. And I said nope, because that's going to be a lot of responsibility. And I actually wrote down right here, with great power, what did Uncle Ben fucking say? He said, with great power comes great responsibility. And so many of you are shying away from your power because you know there's going to be responsibility with it, and you don't want to do it. Because you're tired. And that makes sense. And I feel you, bro. Living a life where you've been pretending to be somebody you're not is exhausting. Jim Carrey had said in an interview at some point, first off, Jim Carrey has always been fine. Jim Carrey has always been fine, okay? There's that. It was 14 minutes and 14 seconds when I said it. Jim Carrey's always been fine. He's been funny, even now. I think he's cute. I'm here for it. But he said in an interview that he felt like depression is your body's way of saying, I don't like the avatar we've been playing as. And I find a lot of people start getting sick a lot. A lot of people start getting really sad. And I don't want to speak on where mental illness comes from, because I follow the science on that, honestly. Like, follow the research that's being done if you want to know what's happening and what's going down. Like, I'm trying to read articles, I'm trying to stay up on it, but I'm not here to speak about that part. But I get it. I get not wanting to do this shit. There were times where I wanted to voluntarily exit permanently. I don't want to be here no more. I was like, I'm tired. And a lot of people who were like, it's selfish. It's like, you just told me. You just let me know that you don't know what that feels like. You don't know what it feels like. I'm going to have to put a disclaimer in the description of this one. But you don't know what it feels like to be in a position where you assume and you feel deep in your spirit that the world is better without you here. If you're asking somebody, why would you think that? Like, why is this? What's happening? Nah, we're pausing so that I can retie this, because this is going to bother me. It's making a pleasant noise. I like that. Look at this again. Isn't it pretty? Stare into it. See your truth in the future of things that are happening. And this little moth, a moth to the flame, transformation, all that stuff. This is exhausting. My sister out there having a good time. I get being tired and not wanting to be here and feeling like you are better off not being here. But now is the time for you to take a deep breath and for you to ask yourself, as Uncle Iroh in Avatar The Last Airbender said, I think usually when I get downloads or when I'm like talking to people, I think in song lyrics and movie quotes. That's what I think of. And it's really interesting because I'll just be sitting there and like I'll hear, baby come back, and I'm like, who the fuck? And it's like, that's your man in the spiritual who's on his way to you. He really wants you to know he's coming for you. And I'm like, stop. What you mean? But like Uncle Iroh said in Avatar The Last Airbender, he said to Zuko, it's time for you to ask yourself the big questions. Who are you? And what do you want for you? Not what your parents said, what you need to want for you. Not what your pastor said, what you need to want for you. Not what your guidance counselor... Well, I mean, if you have a guidance counselor, the hope is that they're saying what I'm saying. Like, you're so amazing. Oh my God. Oh my God, you're so amazing. You're so amazing. Oh my gosh. I spent a good chunk of my life believing that human beings were a virus. I was like, we kill the planet, we kill each other, like, we suck. That's how I felt. I was very pessimistic. But you would not know that because the person I was pretending to be was like, life is great, la 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 la, watching VeggieTales. Like, that was me. That was what I was doing. But I really felt like human beings were a, like, scourge on the planet. And now, I have not ever been in a place where I love human beings more than how much I love them now. 18 minutes and 18 seconds in my video as I'm talking. And I love human beings. And you guys are so much more powerful than you realize. I get irritated with human beings primarily. My big gripe with human beings is that we have so much power. And we give it up for dumb shit. And we allow other people... Now, when you're a kid, you don't even know any better. But when you're an adult and you're allowing people to tell you that you're nothing, and you're allowing people... And a lot of people say, well, I'm not allowing. I was just existing, and my mom said I wasn't shit. One of the things that I would implore you to do for yourself is to really start working on your self-esteem. It's like Cat Williams, or some comedian said, bitch, it's self-esteem. It comes from the self. Really work on that, because as you're going through life, self-esteem will elevate you to a place that you probably have never been in before if you're a person watching this who doesn't have self-esteem. If you do have self-esteem and you do have confidence, you're like, let's fucking go. I'm ready to go on this journey. A, congrats to you, and B, that is sexy as hell. Let's go. I think growth, spiritual growth, growth in person, it is so sexy. I have a tattoo, and my tattoo here that I got in Boston, it's a weeping willow, and the vines, the root system goes all the way down this arm. And it's in my two favorite colors, black and red. And I love it. And this was my first like serious tattoo that I got for me that I was really excited about. And it's because growth is so integral to feeling better. Like, a lot of us avoid growth because it's painful at first. But there's a lot of other pains that we deal with, and it's worth it. Like, a lot of people would say, that's not painful, going through TSA pre-check at the airport. It's painful for me. It's overstimulating. I fucking hate it. Like, I'm having to take my shoes off. Well, no, it's going through check, because if you have TSA pre-check, then you don't have to do that. I misspoke. But, like, having to take your shoes off at security, me having to throw away things that I paid for because they've changed the ounces that you can take through the Don't even get me started. But we go through a lot of other pains in our life. Like, child labor is an example of a pain that we voluntarily go through in order to bring life into this world. That is how growth can feel, but it does get better over time. I know that sounds cliche, and I know to a lot of you watching, you do not believe me, because you're in a place where you're like, it's dark as hell down here, and I don't see no light. What white light? I don't see shit. And I get it, and I was there too. But on the other side, I still deal with shit. Like, I still have my little depresso episodes. I still have anxiety moments where I'm like, I don't want to leave the house. I still struggle, but it's different. It's a different type of struggle. And I don't think life is all about struggle. I think that is something, again, in the Black community, I think a lot of us identify heavily with our struggle, which is why we keep trying to make other people responsible for the pain that we experience, because the minute we start justifying how we feel and we say, I don't need you to believe me that I feel this way, this is how I feel, the minute we stop trying to make everybody else responsible for who we are, like, the second that happens, you no longer can identify with your struggle. You're more than that. And I've met a lot of people who every time I talk to them, it's about their struggle. There's nothing else outside of that. And then when they're not struggling, they create struggle. Because their inner gladiator, who is so used to fighting, when they get happy, they then self-sabotage, because the gladiator doesn't see that we're happy. The gladiator just knows, I'm here to protect. I'm here to literally beat asses. So, I think I've said everything I needed to say from the book. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and close that. This journey is not for the weak. In Star Wars, for those of you that have seen it, the idea is that the Force is strong with various people, and that the Force flows through all things, you know? And there are those who are weak-minded, who the Force kind of like you could do the Jedi mind trick on them because they're weak-minded. And I believe weakness comes, in some cases, from the inability to be honest with yourself. I think if you are aware of the problems that you have, and you know you need help, and you vocalize that, and you're vulnerable about that, that already is showing bodybuilder type strength to me. One of the strongest things I think a man or a masculine presenting person can do is to be emotional about their struggle. And I know it sucks, because you, like, those types of people, like, you've been raised to believe that it is weakness. And a lot of women too who are dealing with toxic masculinity, you've been told that emotion is bad, and that to feel emotion or to show emotion is a negative thing. And spoiler alert, it's actually not. Showing emotion not only allows you to be stronger, like, think about it. We know psychologically and, like, scientifically that toddlers, the reason why at times you're supposed to let them have temper tantrums is because through crying, through having a problem, they actually begin, look this up if you don't believe me, they actually learn to cope and self-regulate by crying. The more you have emotion, the more you can learn to deal with the emotion you have. The reason why a lot of us don't want to cry, like, even now, I cry for everything. I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm sad. Like, I get very overwhelmed by things. And I don't know if that's the neurospicy or if that's just, like, how I came back. But I get very emotional about things, and I cry a lot. More so because of happiness these days, which I love, which I want for you. I want, if you're crying, that you're crying tears of joy. That's what I want for you. And if you guys are on this journey with me and you want to stay on this journey and we're going to move forward together and we're going to study ourselves and we're really going to get into the nitty-gritty of who we are and what we're doing and what we can do better and the compassion we can show ourselves, then like I think that'll be good. But also, I cry for a lot, and crying has now allowed me to be able to regulate my emotions better. And if you're just not a crier, that's okay. I'm not saying everybody's got to cry. Everybody experiences emotions differently. But the amount of times that I myself, my sister, various people that I know have been like, I just wish I could turn off my emotion. I feel that because I've been there. But emotion is what makes us human. It's some of the most fun. Like, closing off your emotion, like closing off joy and things like that, I know that there are certain paths that people take where they're like, they want to detach from who they are. And if that's your path, I respect it. Okay? So before I continue, I respect your path. If you are a person who believes that emotions are something you want to detach from and you want to live kind of more of a monk, kind of peaceful, like separate from emotions life, that is also valid. You are valid. But if you're like me and you actually do like your emotions, because when you're happy, you're really happy. You love the euphoria. You love how that feels. You just hate the lows. Having your emotions, and instead of trying to constantly fix them and work through them, which, ding, 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 I've done, I logic my emotions. I'll be like, what am I feeling and why? When I feel sad, instead of just feeling sad in that moment, I grew up in a situation where my emotions, my grief or my sadness made the people around me uncomfortable. And so their response was, stop crying. Figure out why you're crying, because that's a lot. Stop that. And so I grew up being like, nah, I'm not about to cry. Fuck that noise. And I would try to fix it. Even now, I'll go through things, and I have a wonderful support team now of spiritual people who I go to when I'm going through those times. And I'm like, hey, yo, talk me down, man, because I'm really feeling like I want to just step all over my emotions right now and not validate them. And they're like, so don't do that, you simple bitch. They never call me that. They love me. I love my team. They're so loving and supportive. Ugh, I love it. I've never been this lovey-dovey. Like, I really was a person who was heartless. I was like, take them all out. Like, what does that mean? But I'll usually talk to them, and they're like, feel your emotions. You feel bad, and it's okay to feel bad. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be not feeling good. But what's not okay is gaslighting yourself, not validating your feelings, or continuing to sit in that place. It's dangerous for you to keep sitting in that place. So that's why I implore everybody watching this video, I implore everybody doing things, let's get on it. Let's get moving. I kind of feel like an older sister or an auntie in this place. Excuse me. Where I'm like, it's time for us to move. It's time for us to get serious about ourselves. We get serious about everything else. You're serious about your 9 to 5. You're serious about the people who you lead. You're serious about your kids if you're watching this. You've been serious about your retirement plan, because I'm also getting that it's going to be a lot of people. Like, the people seeing this video, and this may be way in the future from when I'm doing it today, but you've probably been serious about a lot of stuff. And it wasn't as important as you being serious about you. That's it. That's all I have for the second video. I adore you all. Oh my gosh. I adore you guys. You guys are so great. Like, to be a spiritual being having a physical experience is dope. It can be a very dope thing. And you're so powerful. I see you. Being powerful, being cute, being sassy. I mean, I don't care. Like, whatever path that you're walking, if you are living life as a woman, a man, transgender, if you're non-binary, I'm loving all over you. Right now. I'm sending all my positive vibes in your direction. And again, if you've watched this far, you don't have to, but I love emojis. I love emojis. So put an emoji in the comments. Any emoji. Just don't be weird. You know what? You can be weird. If you want to put an eggplant down there, you can put an eggplant down there. But I'm thinking about that video of that lady, and she's like putting baby powder on her baby, and she slips and it gets all over the bed. She's like, oh, and she sits the baby up, and the baby's coughing, and she's like, are you okay? And the baby's like, and she's like, we got the rest of our lives together, girl. Because that's how I feel. Because even if I don't meet any of the people who I'm sending this video to in person, spiritually, I have a feeling. I just have a feeling. Spiritually, we know each other. I get it. There's some lifestyle things that you're living right now that I do not get. In this corporeal form, I don't get it. But that oneness that exists, that knowing place, the me there gets it. The me there gets it. So, I love you so much. And I know a lot of what I'm saying is really heavy-handed, and I know it's going to turn a lot of people off, and great, because that means it's effective. It's doing what it's supposed to do. So, I'll be back. Don't know when. I'm just going to start doing this as I move to, because I'm being told that this is now what I'm doing. So, mwah, I love you guys. We have gone almost 31 minutes over. And, or not 31 minutes over, but almost like, yeah, we are at 31 minutes now. So, I love you guys. Love on yourself, please. Take a little bit of time to just hug yourself. You know, if you place your hand here and you take like 5 deep breaths, it helps regulate your system. Like if you're just kind of sitting at baseline. So do that. Love on yourself, please. Drink some water. I'm about to do that. Drink some water. Love on yourself. Okay, bye.